Hola, ¿cómo estás? Yo estoy muy bien. So, if you don't have this pulled up already, go ahead and get your vocabulary lists out, maybe a printed copy or have them on your screen, because today we're going to talk about words número ocho all the way down to número 40, number 40, with a little bit of grammar in here as well as we start to study these words, okay? So I'm going to switch over to my slides here and get us started for the 7.2 instruction 1. And we're going to start with a power question. Now, that question is ¿Cómo eres? Now, you've learned the question ¿Cómo estás? Now, we know that means how are you? Well, this one is a little bit different. ¿Cómo eres? And this question is how you ask, hey, what do you like? And what do we mean by that question? It would mean what do you like in terms of what do you look like, your appearance, but also your personality. All right, are you funny? Are you serious? Are you hardworking? Are you lazy? So when you say to somebody "Cómo eres," you're asking again, what are you like? Now you can notice here in the question "Cómo eres," eres is a form of the verb ser. We saw that a second ago. All right, we learned earlier in the course how to say ¿De dónde eres? Where are you from? Soy de Indiana, somos de Fort Wayne. Well, by changing it to ¿Cómo eres? Again, we're asking what somebody is like. All right, we use ser to identify a person and to say where he or she is from. We practice that quite a bit. Soy de Indiana, somos de Fort Wayne. Well, ser has other uses too. It's also used to describe what a person looks like, such as their appearance, and a person's personality. So we can also use ser in these ways. So, in other words, what we're going to talk about today is how would you describe somebody in terms of what they look like and what their appearance is like. So here are some examples in English. I'm funny and tall. You're kind and short. She is athletic and young. He is shy and old. We are handsome and hardworking. They are small and serious. All of you are organized and short. So those are examples of describing what somebody's appearance is like, but also what their personality is like. We're going to learn in this set how to do that in Spanish, all right? How to say things like soy alto y serio. Juan es bajo y artístico. Ustedes son inteligentes y guapos. Sara y Maria son altas y tímidas. So by the time we finish our chapter 1, lesson 2, we'll be able to do all of this and quite a bit more. So one of the things you noticed is when you're describing, again, we use ser to describe, let's take a second and review our forms of ser because that verb is going to be really important as we learn how to describe someone's personality and their physical characteristics. So go through these with me. Soy, eres, es, somos, sois, son, y son. And that's how I conjugate ser with different subjects. And we know from our previous lesson, soy means I am, eres means you are, es is he is or she is, but it could also be you formal. Somos is we are, sois, all of you are in Spain, son, they are, and son can also mean all of you are. So just a quick review of ser. And as we come back to that question, ¿Cómo eres? Again, what do you like? Well, we need to use ser every time we respond to that question to describe what I'm like, what another person is like. So to get started, I'm going to show you a bunch of vocab words today that we can use to describe. We're going to start being able to describe what somebody's personality is like, and then we're going to move on to describe what they physically look like. And we'll use these to be able to describe various people, including ourselves and others. So for example, in this first picture, this represents amable because amable means kind. So if we look at this girl, she's helping somebody up. If I were to describe her to somebody else, I would say, ella es amable. She is kind. So I can use a form of ser with this adjective to describe. Right? This one is artística or artístico. Now, we'll come back to the grammar a little bit later, but since we're describing a female, I'm going to say artística. If that picture were of a man who was painting, I would label him as artístico. All right, so again, we'll come back to the grammar a little bit later, but just know that this would be artística. I would say ella es artística since I'm describing a woman. All right, this person is atlético. All right, we can see he likes to run. He's very athletic, so atlético. And the reason I have the O first is because I'm describing how he is. So, él es atlético. If this picture were to have a woman in it, I would say ella es atlética. It would end with an A. So we'll do this maybe once or twice more, then I'll come back to the grammar later. But just want to have you to start thinking about how it could be atlético or atlética, depending on if you're describing a man or a woman. All right, the word good in Spanish is bueno or buena. All right, bueno means good and buena means good. And again, we'll learn more about how to use bueno and buena in a different lesson. All right, this person, we're going to say cómico. All right, cómico means funny. Now, if this picture were a picture of a woman, I would say cómica. It would end with the A. But cómico means funny, cómica means funny. The reason it's cómico is because it's a man. All right, if we were to describe this woman, we would say desorganizada. Now, you see all those papers all over her office. Ella es desorganizada. If it were a man, él es desorganizado. All right, so desorganizada or desorganizado. All right, this person, estudioso. Library, doing lots of work, studying, estudioso. Einstein, inteligente. Now you see I've only got one word listed here because it ends in an E. Inteligente would be to describe a man or to describe a woman. So Einstein es inteligente, ella es inteligente, it's just inteligente. All right, this dog has not been very good. To describe somebody who's bad, we say malo or mala. All right, if the dog is a male, malo. If it's a female, mala. Here we have this person trying to pull the mule's being very stubborn. We say obstinado. All right, obstinado means you're stubborn. All right, obstinado if describing a man, obstinada describing a woman. Organizada. All right, she's very organized, organizada. This dog is very lazy, perezoso. All right, someone who's lazy is perezoso. All right, simpática. All right, she's very kind, simpática. And again, the reason I'm saying simpática first is because it's the picture of a woman. If there were a man pictured, I would say simpático, but both mean kind. Tímido. Tímido means shy. So this boy es tímido. Él es travieso. Right? Travieso means mischievous. Travieso. Trabajador. All right, trabajador is hardworking. All right, so a way to describe somebody, another adjective, trabajador. All right, let's now talk about some physical characteristics. All right, so we see these two people. All right, the first one, the little girl, is baja, and baja means short. The man sitting next to her is alto, and alto means tall. So I put baja on top because it's a little girl, so the A corresponds to her. And then I put the O first with alto because we're describing a man. So baja and alto. But bajo and alta, again, also mean short and tall. Here we have two scenes. This first one is bonito. Bonito is pretty, or could be bonita. And then feo means ugly. All right, feo and fea both mean ugly. So bonito and feo, those are opposites. All right, we're going to describe their hair a little bit here in terms of its length. All right, if we were to describe his hair, it's muy corto. Right, corto means short. If we look at her hair, it's largo. Largo means long. All right, so bajo is short in terms of the person, and we were describing a second ago. If I go back, all right, in terms of how tall or short the person is. And then this is describing length. So corto and largo. All right, two more opposites here. This elefante is grande. Grande means big. Pequeño means small. So the elefante is grande. El hamster is pequeño. All right. Here we have the word guapo or guapa. All right. Guapo and guapa both mean good looking. All right. Guapo for him, guapa for her. All right. Here we have, talking about age a little bit, joven. Joven is young. Viejo is old. All right. So viejo and joven, two opposites. And then here we have another picture of this little boy with a camera. We would say lindo. All right. Thinking about lindo. Lindo is beautiful, sweet, could be cute. So lindo, or if this were a picture of a female, it would be linda. So lindo or linda. All right, and then finally, if we want to describe, sometimes students ask, how do you describe somebody who has red hair? We would say es pelirrojo, and es pelirrojo means he is redheaded. Or if this were a picture of a female, we would say es pelirroja. She is redheaded. All right. So all of those words, if we were to go back and look at the very beginning, all right, where we started at a second ago, we're now able to describe somebody to respond to the question, ¿Cómo eres? All right. And we're going to spend a lot of time this chapter, this week, next week, and the following week, being able to describe what we look like and what our personality is like, and also other people. So to get started, though, a lot of work just on the vocab. Really want to make sure you can get these words down. So we're going to work on vocab really hard. And once you have the vocab down, we'll dive some more into the grammar, eventually be able to describe what others are like in speaking and in writing. Hasta luego.